My Egg-Centric Allergy by Tom Seast. Which came first? For many, many years, most of humanity has obsessed with the question, which came first, the chicken or the egg? I'm not really sure why there is an obsession with it because I have amiable affinity for both. I have no concern as to whether the chicken or the egg came first. I usually invite the chicken caviar in for my breakfast as it has proven to be a delectable guest. I tend to ask the chicken over for lunch or dinner as I tend to be tantalized by their tasty goodness later in the day. Overall, I think both forms of the fabulously feathered fowl are delightful and delicious. My first allergy. I have little recollection of being allergic to anything in my early days of life, but I suppose I was allergic to something. Later on in life, I became infatuated with my lovely little Pudikins and chased, pursued, and probably stalked her to the point where we finally got married. And I eventually developed an allergy to her because every time I got near her, I broke out in a smile. My second allergy. A couple of years after I got married, I realized that I was starting to have an allergic reaction to clam chowder, which was one of my favorite forms of soup. I was a gallon of clam chowder a month kind of guy at that point in my life, and noticed that my throat would feel constricted and I would have difficulty breathing after I started to eat the chowder. So I had to discontinue my chowderhead ways. I also noticed that I had the same problem with oysters, which I also loved. It became obvious that I was having a reaction to most forms of hard-shell seafood. Cross-contamination. As time progressed, I would occasionally eat either oysters or clam chowders to see if I was allergic. There is no doubt that I'm a moron, because the reactions in my throat would make it difficult to swallow and breathe. I even became more allergic to my precious Pudikins because she would take my breath away every time she walked by. In 2008, I was on the Carnival Splendor with my son, and we were having dinner. I ordered escargot because I liked them and wanted to see how slow they came to the table. I ended up in my room drooling into a waste can because I could not swallow, and the ship hospital was closed. It turned out that the snails were prepared in a pan or pot that previously contained shellfish. Finally learned. My beloved little Pudikins was persistent and eventually convinced me that I should discontinue eating stuff I loved in order to see if I was still allergic, because she would like me to still be around. I think that's kind of sweet of her to be like that, even though I'm a little angel bunny most of the time. But that didn't stop the progression of allergies in my life. Shell game. It was with great sadness that I started to notice that I had a little allergic reaction after eating the egg form of the chicken for breakfast. There didn't seem to be any rhyme or reason as to when I would have the reactions. This was truly sad because I was eating about 4 or 5 eggs per day on average. Then, one day, a turkey farmer informed us that the feed they give chickens and other birds, where they sell the eggs, contains ground oyster shells because it helps harden the shells. So we started looking for eggs laid by the birds that didn't eat that type of feed. We had learned that my allergy was all about the shell game. More sensitive. As I've aged, I've developed more sensitivities, and not just the good kind. I have trouble with my heart rate now if I eat fried pickles or fried cheese. I suspect it may be something like the evil gluten, but I'm not going to speculate. I'll eventually take the time to take my food sensitivity test by Everywell, which can be purchased at this address. In theory, I'll finally know for sure some of the foods that I'm sensitive to or allergic to, and I'll make wiser, more informed choices in my food. Me. I'll continue to be allergic to my wife until the day I die because she takes my breath away and I break out in a smile. She puts so much life into all my years. And I hope my story helps you in case you have an egg-centric allergy as I did. If I can help you in any way, please let me know. If you like my writing or my reading, follow my random, diverse ramblings online at the links listed below.